Welcome to Startup TV Boston. I'm Michael McCarthy, and I'd like to welcome my guests Jaime and Gonzalo. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Startup TV Boston was started about 2 years ago, all with the intention of highlighting and showcasing startups in the Boston area. And Jaime and Gonzalo are students at Harvard Business School. And guys, would you please tell me, what is your startup and where'd you get the idea from? Jaime.
Our startup is Acorn, Jamón Ibérico Boutique, and it's a startup that aims to bring Jamón Ibérico, which is the best ham in the world, all the way from Spain to America. And we got the idea when we arrived in September last year. We realized there was no ham here in Boston, and we really missed it because that's something we're used to eating back home, and the flavor is just amazing. So we just thought, might as well not only give us the pleasure of eating jamón while in America, but also give Americans the pleasure of eating jamón and enjoying it the way we do it in Spain.
And Gonzalo, how did you two meet?
So we both go to the same school, same year, and we are both Spanish. So at the end that creates like a bond, and on the first weeks of school we already met, and Jaime presented this idea to me. And at the beginning, like, I was skeptical. Many people have tried to bring the jamón to the United States, but actually we saw some potential, and after giving like some thought to the idea, we realized that this could be a great idea, and we pursued with it.
And what school are you attending now?
We're in Harvard Business School. We're both first-year students, and we are studying an MBA, so Master in Business and Administration. We still have one more year to go, and
So you're both from Spain, but you met at Harvard Business School. You didn't know each other from Spain.
No, we didn't know each other. I think that most of the people that came from Spain to HBS, to Harvard Business School, didn't know each other, but just as we are Spanish and it's a small community, we all became close friends once here.
And as part of your curriculum that you're supposed to be doing a startup, or?
this is not part of our curriculum. This is part of our passion. This is part of our heart, and this is part of our roots. And we have been like walking the extra mile and taking time out of our schedule to pursue this dream. So it's something we are doing out of our will and out of our passion.
So it's basically an outside project. It's actually not part of your HBS studies.
Correct. We have actually leveraged on all the resources that HBS has for its students, and we have, for example, gone with iLab experts and talked to them, consulted them, also legal experts to see how we should develop this idea. So we have actually used all the resources at Harvard Business School, but this is not a mandatory project.
And for our studio audience, what is the iLab?
The iLab is a hub for innovation that is located in Harvard, and the aim is to kind of bundle and mingle all Harvard students towards innovating ideas in the Boston area.
So you came up with the idea, and then you went to the iLab for support?
Yeah, exactly. That's how we did it. We first came up with the idea, we talked to each other, and then in order to kind of fulfill the process of creating these chain of restaurants, we thought it would be very helpful to talk to people who kind of went through the same journey 10, 15 years ago. So that's why we went to the iLab, which has a wide range of experts who were entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs in the past, to kind of get their views on our project and give us very valuable help and insights so that we don't kind of make the same mistakes they did 15 or 20 years ago.
Understood. So you can get a sharper learning curve by working off of other people's experience. So when you walk into the iLab, walk me through the process. You walk to the iLab and say, "Hi, I'm Jaime, and I have a really cool idea." Is that how it starts?
That's how it starts, and that's what you do the first time. Not only do you go to the iLab, you also go to the Brock Center, which is exactly the same thing, but not at the Harvard level, but at Harvard Business School level. So you go there and you tell them, I'm Jaime, I come from Spain, I really love Jamón Ibérico, and I want to bring this passion to the States. And they tell you, you have to talk to this guy who is very, very knowledgeable in the food industry, and this person who is the coolest, the person who's going to be more valuable from a legal standpoint. And then you start navigating the resources and talking to people, and one expert leads you to the next expert, and it's about being there, about talking to people, and
Now you mentioned the Rock Center. What is the Rock Center, and how is that different than the iLab?
So actually, the goal of both bodies is exactly the same. They want to promote entrepreneurship among their communities. The difference is that the community is different. So in the one case, in the iLab, the community is all Harvard. So not only Harvard Business School, but also Harvard Education School, Design School, and all the Harvard undergrads.
So all the Harvard schools are part of the iLab, and the Rock Center is
focused on the Harvard Business School community. So the
Understood.
2,000 students that are currently studying MBAs, so Master in Business Administration.
And you're using both of these centers as a resource.
Absolutely.
Now, when you get the idea, can you just walk into these resources at Harvard and have them help you? Or do you have to convince them that you have an idea that's worth helping? Is there some acceptance, or you just walk in the door? How does that work?
So I think that you can even go without an idea and ask them for advice, and you just tell them, I want to start a new venture, I want to become an entrepreneurship, I'm very interested, and they may give you the contact information of another entrepreneur that is looking for a founder with experience actually in something that you have done previously. So it's not only a place where you go without a deck or a slide or some slides or some presentation very in a formal way and you have to apply. It's actually an open space where you can just walk in and ask for advice or chat with somebody, even if you don't have an idea or if your idea is at a very, very early stage.
So is it fair to say the only requirement for acceptance into these groups is just a willingness to be an entrepreneur?
That's correct.
Beautiful. So did you go to them first with the idea and then they helped you, or did you go with the willingness and the idea came later? Which came first?
So the idea came relatively early. So only 1 week into our studies, we were having dinner one night and we came up with this idea. So it was very, very quick. And we didn't even have time to go either to the iLab or to the Rock Center because we actually didn't know what they were. So you come here the first week and you have an overwhelming amount of information about all the resources you have access to, not only in the entrepreneurial field, but in all the rest, private equity, finance, all of them. So the idea came first because the idea came very quick because we missed the ham too much. But
is that where the idea came from? You missed the ham? You missed food from home?
We really miss food from home and especially ham, which is a very unique flavor. And it's not only the ham, but also the culture and the authenticity and the experience that you kind of feel while you're eating the ham.
So this is a good point in our chat because a lot of our viewers have an interest in being entrepreneurs. They have interest in being a startup, but a lot of people don't know where to start. Can you walk me through how did the idea come to you from the very beginning? Where did that, just the seed of the idea, can you walk me through that point?
I think at the core of every startup, there is a pain point. And in this case, the pain point was very clear. We came all the way from Spain, crossed the Atlantic, landed in Boston, and after 1 week, we realized there was no ham. And that was our pain point. So then once you have this pain point, you start building a solution which will eventually solve or help you solve this pain point.
Okay, so the pain point was you missed food from home.
Mm-hmm.
There is no ham from Spain. There's nothing as good as at home. Then what did you do?
Then there is a very long process of figuring out which is the best solution to solve that pain point.
Mm-hmm.
And there is also many ways many things you have to do in order to prove that other people have the same pain point that you have. Because otherwise, if you are solving a pain point that only one person has, there is no way you're going to be able to monetize your idea. So you actually have to find out and prove that other people have that same pain point. And if they don't have a pain point, that there is eventually an opportunity for you to creating that opportunity in them.
So you were missing the ham.
Mm-hmm.
Gonzalo was missing the ham.
Mm-hmm.
And then you started to ask other people, would you like some ham from Spain? Is that how it went?
I think that besides more than asking that question, we tried to figure out whether there was an opportunity here, a space in the market, and whether people they might never have tried the ham, but maybe if you're able to kind of test the concept with them and see if there is a demand for that product. So you assess the opportunity more than. So I agree with Jaime that many startups start with a pain point, but there are others that start with an opportunity. So you don't necessarily need to find a need that exists. Maybe the market doesn't know what it wants next, and you just figure it out before the demand exists, and you offer it. Test the concept, see how customers perceive your product, and if there is a positive feedback, then or you can develop that idea and keep on working.
So after you both established that you had the pain point that you're missing the ham, that you'd like to have the ham in the country, how did you assess that there was an opportunity here potentially? What did you do?
So the first thing we did was understanding how Americans perceive the product, and especially Americans who have never tried it before. So we invited 15 friends over to the first jamón tasting, and we just let them try the product. We carve it there in front of them, and we offer them the ham on its own, the ham with bread, and the ham with toasted bread and tomato. And we just ask them, how do you like it? How does it compare to the ham you were used to eating here in America? How does it compare to the prosciutto? How does it compare to the average Subway sandwich? And then they gave us feedback, and they told us, we love it. This flavor is very powerful. I have never tried it. I would love to have it for lunch. I would love to have it for dinner. This is something new, and there is room for potential to bring this flavor and this experience into our culture.
So you did a taste test and a focus group, and you got positive results.
Yep.
Beautiful. So that convinced you that you think that there may be a seed of opportunity based upon that.
Correct.
Okay.
And besides that, I would say that the next step, or even maybe at the same time, we also tested the feasibility, not only the opportunity, whether it existed, but whether bringing this product to the US was actually something that was possible. So I say this because only a few years ago, the FDA approved bringing Spanish ham or importing Spanish Iberico ham to the US. And there are only a bunch of importers or Spanish producers that are doing so. So we actually tested whether there was enough supply in the US to allow us to build a restaurant chain. And we did that also in parallel to the health, like we tried to see which health permits we would need, safety permits. And we saw that everything that we needed was there. So the feasibility came along with the opportunity. So we did both things.
You bring up a good point, and you're a few steps ahead of me because I actually had a startup that was importing meat from Europe, and it was destroyed by the FDA because I did not have a vet certificate certifying that the meat didn't have mad cow disease. So was that part of your feasibility to see what the government regulations are about importing meat?
So you want to take that one, Jaime?
Yeah, so actually there is a very long process to get certified as a Spanish ham producer to sell your ham in the States. And there are several players, several Spanish producers who have undergone that process 10, 15 years ago, and they have suffered that process, so to say, and now they are certified to sell the product. So what we did, we talked to them and we asked them, how does it look like from your side? Are you confident that you will be able to continue exporting the ham in the following years? How does your supply look like? How does your quality look like? And in all of those questions, the answers were positive, and that's what made us think that we had a consistent supply of ham with a good quality in order to enable us to pursue our dream.
So after you did the focus group that established that there is demand for your product in the US, then you focused on, can I actually supply and meet that demand by finding suppliers that could actually get the product into the United States? So everything you seem to be doing was step by step.
That's correct, yeah.
So you got a green light that you could actually get suppliers that could bring the product in. What was your next step after that?
Our next step was to understand how Americans would like to have the ham, whether they would like to have it for breakfast, whether they would like to have it for lunch or for dinner, whether they would like to have it on their own or whether they would like to mix it with peanut butter or with mustard.
Okay.
So what we did a way bigger focus group with 25 Americans, and we tested ham with 15 different things. So we tried ham with manchego cheese, we tried ham with truffle spread, we tried ham with queens, we tried ham with olive spread, we tried ham with many different things.
Okay.
And this enabled us to understand how Americans would like to eat, what Americans would like to eat the ham with, and also how Americans would like to eat the product.
So what did you learn? What did you find out?
So I think that our biggest finding was that you need to adapt the way you serve the ham in the US to the American palate. So the same way that maybe pizza and Italians adapted their product to the American palate, and the Japanese, when they brought the sushi, also like came up with the California roll, that is something that didn't exist in Japan. They catered that to the American palate to make it more appealing. So this is the same thing that we learned. So we realized that we needed to fuse the ham with some flavors that Americans perceived as they wanted to bundle the ham with those flavors. Mm-hmm. So we came up with a menu that a refined menu that kind of was adapted to the American palate. So our biggest finding was that you need to cater the Americans in a different way that you do it in Spain or in Europe.
So after you found out that you could get a clear supply of ham into the country, you then put it through a culture filter to make sure that Americans would like the Spanish ham with an American twist on it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what was the culture filter? What did you have to change for Americans to like it versus the way it's typically served in Spain?
So the first thing we find out is that Americans don't like plain ham only with bread, because within the American culture we found out that the typical European sandwich, which is composed of a crispy bread and filled with something very subtle and very powerful in flavor, is not within the American culture. Usually Americans like sandwiches which are stuffed with many different things, so with cheese, with ham, with pickles, with mayonnaise and whatnot. So we found out that only having ham within a baguette wasn't enough for them, and we had to bundle it with, for instance, truffle spread, or fig jam and goat creamy cheese, or manchego cheese and queens, or parmesan, or different things that made the flavor more powerful and also look the sandwich, let's say, more filling.
Did you try ketchup?
I think that we set some boundaries, and we said like no mustard, no ketchup.
When in doubt, add in some ice cubes and ketchup. That'll get an American. Yeah, thank you for maintaining the integrity by not putting on ketchup. So what was your next step after you went through the culture filter of this is how Americans would like it? What happened next?
So then the next step is actually to test the operations, mm-hmm. and test how difficult it is to train people to operate this business, and how difficult it is to build the sandwiches, how difficult is it to build the boards, etc. So for this we organized a first event selling sandwiches, and we sold over 60 sandwiches. We hired people for this event so that we could actually test and train those people and test how receptive and how fast they learn the operations. So we tested on the one side the sandwiches, and then on the other side we did a catering event with over 150 people. It was a night catering event, and this enabled us to test how efficient we are preparing ham boards.
So that leads me to another question. There are so many different ways that you can sell this in the United States. You could sell it in a grocery store. You could supply delis, convenience stores all around the United States. You could do these sandwich boards. You could do catered weddings. You could have your own sandwich shops. You could have your own restaurants. There's a multitude of ways to present it. How do you want to sell it in the United States? What's the selling format?
So we want to build our own chain of restaurants or Jamón Ibérico boutiques, mm-hmm. where we sell this product in three different formats. So we would sell them in sandwiches for lunch that is in a very convenient way, so that people can take them to take away or eat them there at the shop. We also want to sell them sell the product in boards. So this would be in a more kind of after-work dinner setting where people go and maybe bundle it with some sangria and have a more like just spend some more time in taking pleasure of the experience.
What's on inboards? What does inboards mean?
So a board would be just a wood board that we would put some different ingredients, but there would be some Iberico ham, there would be also some olives, some maybe manchego cheese. So it's kind of a big plate that you can share with somebody else, like this
Like
one
that.
here.
Wow.
Yeah.
How convenient. Okay, so it's literally on a board.
Yeah.
And then you have other condiments around it.
Yeah,
So I can do like a little mix and match.
that's correct.
I see. And would this be in a restaurant that you own, a sandwich shop? Where would I get this board?
So we think that the experience is very, very important, and this is a product that cannot be eaten like that. And the experience and the flavor that you get from the ham varies a lot depending on where and when you eat it. And in the same way that if you buy a very expensive Bordeaux wine, you will never eat it too cold or too hot. The ham, you have to eat it under certain conditions. So we want to create these stores where we recreate the Spanish experience when we carve the ham on the spot by a professional ham carver, and when we deliver the ham at the precise temperature so that the ham melts in your mouth and you can get all the flavors out of it.
So it's going to be your own store.
Correct.
Will these be restaurants?
As Gonzalo said before, it's not a restaurant, it's not a shop, it's something in between. So we'll have this place where you can either eat your ham there or take it to go, but there will also be an area where you can actually purchase the ham and also high quality Spanish products such as other charcuterie products or olive oil or cheese and take them away. So it will be a kind of market, shop, experimental store within a restaurant.
So could you share with me perhaps an existing business that's doing something similar where our visitors could be, oh, okay, I get it. Is there a similar business that is close to what you're describing?
Yeah, so in Europe there are several shops that are like this, and I would say that in the United States maybe they are non-existent at the moment, but something similar could be maybe here in Boston, Italy, that has been recently opened, where you can either go there and buy your products to take away, or you can also eat on the store while you're there. So Italy, it's a much bigger version of what we would like to do. So it's maybe a deli shop that has some high-end grocery to take away, but you also have some high stools and high tables where you can eat the food while you're there.
So basically, I'm walking into the store, it's like walking into Spain. Everything there is from Spain. And I can eat some food there, I can do some shopping, or I could get something to go.
Correct.
Beautiful. So it's like a little taste of Spain.
Yeah, we want to, ultimately, we think that this ham is so powerful that it will enable us to create brand equity around Spain, and we think that's something very valuable, and we would love to do. So we would like to recreate the Spanish experience as much as possible.
So now we're starting to get into the business, that you have this idea, you made sure that there was a demand, you made sure that you could match the supply, you had different ways of delivering it, you're going to do it in this store format. So now you're ready to create your pitch and business plan?
Now we're ready to create our pitch, and we would be very happy to share it with you all.
Beautiful. So why don't we get started, and let's take a look at your pitch. So let's begin. Acorn.
Perfect. So this is our baby Acorn, Jamón Ibérico Boutique, and here it's Jaime and Gonzalo. We will both present our idea. So first, we would like to share with you what Jamón Ibérico is and what it represents. So Jamón Ibérico is the best ham in the world, and it is considered one of the 4 aces of the global gastronomy, along with caviar, truffle, and foie gras. And you would ask yourself, why? Why is this ham so unique, and why can you only produce it in Spain? And there are 4 reasons for this. The first one is that these pigs are unique. The pigs that produce Jamón Ibérico are not white pigs, they are black pigs, and they are from a very special breed called Iberian pigs. They have been growing in the Iberian Peninsula, which is the territory that is composed by both Spain and Portugal, for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, growing free without having ever genetically modified or anything like that. So it takes them way longer to grow than an average white pig. So an average white pig can grow in 7 to 9 months. These pigs, they live for almost 2 years. So it's a very different breed that we only have in Spain. And the quality that makes this ham unique is that these pigs are able to embed the fat within the muscle. And actually, when you put the ham into your mouth, the fat melts and it gives all the flavor to the meat. It's similar to in cows, the Kobe meat is so tasteful because it has lots of fat embedded within the muscle. So for jamón ibérico, it's exactly the same. And the only pigs that have this quality are the Iberico pigs. And that's the first reason. The second reason is that these pigs eat acorns, and they eat Spanish acorns, and they also see the sunrise every morning, and they see the sunset every evening. That's something we humans would like to do very often, and we almost never do it. So these pigs, they really get the chance to see the sunrise every morning and the sunset every evening. So they grow very happy for almost 2 years, as we said before, and they eat acorns. And acorns gives the fact that they eat acorns gives the ham a special flavor that would otherwise be impossible to get if we only fed these pigs with normal corn or with wheat or with other vegetables. And that's the second reason. Now we go to the third reason. Once these pigs are big enough, we get their legs and we age it according to a unique and traditional process that lasts over 3 years under certain conditions of humidity, of temperature, of wind in cellars that have been built exactly for this purpose. So it's a process which is very difficult to do, and it's a process that cannot be done anywhere because you really need a location with certain conditions in terms of humidity, in terms of temperature, in terms of winter, summer, etc. And then, last but not least, this product is really carved with love. You don't use an industrial machine to carve the ham and melt all the fat. You treat this ham with love, the same way you treated the pigs while they were living free for over 2 years. And the fact that you treat this product with respect and you carve it by hand in the traditional way makes it, doesn't take any flavor away from it and gives it all to you when you are lucky enough to have it into your palate. And now Gonzalo will talk about the food trends in America in the last years and how we think that jamón ibérico is going to be the next trend.
Yeah, thank you, Jaime. So we believe that Iberico ham can become the next food trend to enter and disrupt the US food market. The same way that pizza did in the 1940s and sushi did in the 1970s, and they have now grown to become huge businesses over $1 billion in the US. So the same way that Italians catered pizza to the American palate, and Japanese did so by, for example, introducing the California roll, we believe that we need to cater Iberico ham to the American palate, and if we do so, this can be a huge market opportunity. So we believe that up to 1,000 stores of Iberico ham could be opened in the US, representing around $1 billion of market potential. So it's a huge market, and we believe that this is going to happen in the next few years. Why do we think so? Well, in Europe, it's already happening. There are several Iberico ham shops and boutiques that have started expanding not only in Spain, but also in other European countries. For example, the biggest chain has already 80 stores. They have doubled their size in just 1 year, and they are planning to open up to 500 stores in just a few years. So this is a trend that is already hot in Europe, and we believe that it can also be hot in the US. So how do we think this trend should transform the U.S. food industry? Well, we want to create the first casual restaurant chain to offer the best ham in the world, which is Iberico ham, in America. So we would do so with 3 different concepts. For lunch, we would have handcrafted sandwiches that can be eaten on the spot or taken away. We would also have after work or dinner products that consumers can go and purchase there and eat them while they bundle the food with a glass of sangria. And finally, we would also offer delicatessen and high-end products on a grocery shop that offers not only Iberico ham and other Spanish charcuterie products, but also high-end Spanish products like olive oil and cheese. So it's 3 concepts into one same store. And to do so successfully, we believe that you need, as I mentioned, to cater the product to the American palate and the American taste, and that's what we've done over the past months. So we've tested the product with a very large number of Americans, and we gave them different products, different sandwiches. They tried them all, and we selected the 6 sandwiches that were most successful, fusing Iberico ham with other tastes, like, for example, truffle oil, Parmesan cheese, Manchego cheese, that make the experience of eating these sandwiches very authentic, because the Spanish ham is hand-carved and manually prepared, but also including these ingredients that Americans perceive as good bundles for this product. And now Jaime is going to tell us a little bit more about the operations of the restaurant.
So thank you, Gonzalo. One thing that makes Acorn different from most restaurants that we see nowadays and most casual restaurants is that we actually do not have a kitchen. Everything we serve in Acorn is natural. There is nothing processed, there is nothing fried, there is nothing genetically modified. We just take it the way nature gives it to us, and we give it to you exactly in that way. We may age the ham in this traditional way for over 3 years, but only using organic products such as salt in this case. And actually, the fact that we do not have a kitchen has many, many benefits. Not only, as I said before, that everything we serve is natural, but also that the investment needed to open one restaurant is way lower than a conventional restaurant, up to 40% lower. Second, that the operational risk in running the restaurant is way lower. Let's say we're running a conventional restaurant and then we can no longer fry our fries, then we have to call the technician, he comes in a rush and he charges a premium. We do not have a kitchen, so the only thing that can go wrong is a chair breaking down or a light breaking down, which in both cases are no big deal. We just change the chair or change the light bulb. It's also way easier and faster to obtain all the licenses for the restaurant, because there are many licenses we don't have to get. So in terms of fire licensing, it will be way easier, and many other licenses. So it's easier and faster to open a restaurant. And also the real estate property in which we can eventually open the restaurant are many more than a conventional restaurant, because we don't need all these add-ons that a conventional kitchen needs. Also, the employee cost is lower, because we don't need this cook who has been trained in Paris in Le Cordon Bleu for 3 years and then has 20 years of experience. We really need a ham carver, which we can train ourselves. And if that ham carver leaves, it's easier to find another ham carver to take his position. In the case of a conventional restaurant where you have this high experienced cook, it's very difficult to replicate that cook. As I mentioned before, it's also easier to train the employees and to have them on board, and this is something we have already tested in the last months while we did all these tests. Also, the maintenance investment needed to keep the restaurant running is lower, because as we all see, if a chair breaks down, coming back to the example mentioned before, if a chair breaks down, is way more expensive than if your whole kitchen stops working, right? And then, since the model is easy from an operational standpoint, it's easier to franchise because you can, in a short period of time, with some guidelines, teach somebody else to replicate the model and therefore build this network of franchised Acorn restaurants. So overall, the fact that we do not have a kitchen has many benefits, and this leads to a higher performance in Acorn as compared to other fast casual restaurants that we have seen sprouting in the US for the last years. And well, you would love to hear what people think about our products and how they feel when they try our ham. So there are 5 benefits that customers get directly from Acorn. The first one is that our product is fast and convenient. So we want to prepare the sandwich in less than 1 minute and provide it to you in a way that you can either eat it there or take it away. So some people have told us Acorn sandwich was easy, delicious, light, and portable. Perfection. That's something coming from the heart of an American, and that's exactly the feeling we want to replicate in our customers when they try the ham. The second benefit is that the taste is superior. So there is nothing comparable to this ham anywhere in the world, as we saw at the beginning of the presentation. And what our customers say is that this is lighter and the meat is more flavorful. Also, the bread is better tasting than most American sandwiches. So this is a sandwich that is completely different from most sandwiches you can nowadays find in the States. Another benefit is that you can actually have access to jamón ibérico. So not all Americans have tried jamón ibérico, but the ones that have tried it, most of them, they love it. And they told us this is a very nice way of kind of going back to my holidays and going back to Barcelona, going back to Madrid, where I tasted this ham and I really loved it. Another benefit is that you have the culinary experience. As we said before, eating a Bordeaux too cold or too hot is a bad decision to take. Eating the ham as if you were eating peanut butter is usually not a very good decision. So you have to accompany the ham with all the experience surrounding. So some customers told us, I love the way the ham was carved. I had never seen it before. So we want to replicate this whole experience. And then last but not least, the benefit that we are actually making a premium product accessible to the mass market due to the fact that we're creating a model that is very efficient and it is very lean. And some of our customers told us, I would feel better returning to work with one of your sandwiches in hand rather than the usual cheap sub. So they really feel that they are having a more premium product and they really value the content, and we really want to make this value and this premium product accessible to them. And now we would just like to end the presentation with an overview of what we've done so far. So as we were mentioning before, Gonzalo did that. We started in September 2016, and the first thing we did was testing the viability of the product, of the model itself, seeing whether it was viable from a regulatory standpoint, whether the product was also available, and whether the concept would eventually work. And this we tested with the focus groups we mentioned before. We also did some market research to see which other offers were out there, and we looked at Italy and we looked at many other casual options here in the States. And then one of the biggest chunks of work was actually testing the product in all of these focus groups we mentioned before, and these catering events and etc. And we also performed a lot of customer interviews, not only with people we knew, but also out in the streets to understand the consumption patterns here in Boston. And now, which are the next steps? So now we are ready to open our first brick and mortar store, and we are doing that in Berlin during this summer, because this will enable us to test all the operations at a way lower cost and with less risk. So we're going to use the summer to open this brick and mortar pilot restaurant in Berlin, and with those lessons learned, we will then next fall open a pilot restaurant here in Boston for a duration of 2 months, 3 months, to actually test the model in real life and see the willingness to pay, the real willingness to pay from Americans. Also understand how often people will buy our products, and also optimize the operational model. So this is Acorn, the ultimate Jamón Ibérico boutique. We hope it will become the first fine casual chain of restaurants to bring the best ham in the world from Spain to America, and we hope that you can soon taste it in your places.
Wow. You guys did your homework. That was incredibly thorough. Most people would say, wow, they're selling ham sandwiches, but it's a lot more than that. Congratulations on the progress you've made so far.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now I'm curious, how did Berlin get into the picture that that's where you're going to be doing your pilot restaurant? Walk me through that.
So we think that Jamón Ibérico, as we said before, is a very powerful product, and not only Americans will eventually like it, but many other people around the globe will like it. So we identified that Germany is a market that is still unpenetrated. So none of these big chains have yet entered Germany. Germany is a big market with a GDP per capita which is relatively high. So they have high disposable income, and they are also culturally close to Spain. So from, let's say, a customer standpoint, we think Germany can be a relatively easy market to penetrate, right? And from an operational standpoint, and that's what we want to learn during the summer, the operations in Germany are more or less the same than the operations in the States. However, the cost is way lower. So we said, let's go to a market that is not penetrated, the same way that America is not penetrated. However, a market that is a bit easier because we only have 1 month. So to be able to get some feedback from the customers and learn from them. And then let's go to a market where we actually have the challenges we'll have in America, because we're not in Spain and we'll have to ship everything over to Germany, so that we actually replicate the operational burdens and the operational difficulties that we'll eventually find here in America.
So you've chosen Berlin simply because it's easier with the 1 month of time you're going to have this summer. Is that why you chose Berlin?
So I think that besides easier, I would say it's less risky and less costful. So importing the ham to the US, it's a big operational issue, and also it's very expensive. And besides that, obtaining all the food licenses for just 1 month, it was. So we had time constraints, so we thought, let's go to Berlin, where we can actually improve our operations by running one restaurant. We both don't have any restaurant experience, so this would be our first experience running a restaurant that we can then replicate in the US, but at a much lower cost than it would be to do so in the US. And then we can go to America once we are ready operationally, and then incurring all these costs that we will eventually incur, but not for the test, rather for opening just a longer term restaurant in Boston.
So basically it's a cheap test before you come to the United States. So if you get a green light in Berlin that things are working, then you're going to have the confidence to spend the extra time and effort to do it in the United States. Is that correct?
Sounds perfect. Even if we don't get a green light in Germany, that wouldn't tell us that we shouldn't try it here in America, because there is first green light is the market, and second green light is the operations. We need the green light from the operations because the German market is very different from the American market. So as long as we have the green light from the operations, we will eventually transfer all these lessons learned and all the expertise from running the restaurant here to the States and test whether it works or not in the American market.
Beautiful. So now I have in front of me a list of venture capital questions from venture capitalists and angel investors. These are actual questions that they ask for people looking for funding. So question number 1, are you looking for funding?
We are looking for funding. We are looking for an angel investor to help us run the first pilot for 2 to 3 months and then open the first restaurant with an investment of around $200,000 to $300,000. and then after that to kind of help us and be our mentor in the scale up of the business.
Okay, so you're looking for $200,000 to $300,000. You want an angel investor that's also going to be a mentor, as well as, I assume, opening up their network of accountants, lawyers, other people that could be helpful to you. And how are you going to spend that $200,000 to $300,000? Where is the money going to go? Walk me through that.
So I can take that one.
Go for it.
So I think that the first investment that we need to make is actually open a pilot restaurant for only 6 weeks to 8 weeks, more or less. That would be the time period. For that, we would need approximately $20,000 to rent a space. We want a premium location with high traffic. That is very important for us to really test the concept. And once we've done that, we need the rest of the investment to open and recreate the Spanish experience in a new brick and mortar that for a longer period of time. Let's say we would enter into a 5 to 10 year lease contract, and we would remodel and build from scratch a restaurant that actually recreates that experience. We want it to be like, if you go in there, really feel like you're in Spain. For that, we need an approximate investment of $200,000. We don't need a kitchen. That's why our investment is much lower than the average restaurant investment. That makes the investment need lower, and we believe that's a key advantage. Once we want to scale up the business, we won't need that much investment for future restaurants.
So $200,000 to redecorate the space to make it look like you're in Spain. Am I hearing that right?
And pay the rent and have some working capital that we would need for the first few months of operations.
Now, I've been an angel investor, and it's important as an investor to look at, we're fine about spending the money, but we want to make sure that that money is an engine that's going to give us a return. So if you said to me, we want to spend $200,000 to buy ham that we can sell for $400,000, $600,000, $800,000, I'm all in. I don't see a return on redecorating for $200,000. Is there a way that you could do this cheaper, like put up posters, put up pictures, maybe flat screen TVs that have rotating imagery of Spain so I could still feel like I'm there? Is there a way to make that expense lower to make me feel like I'm gonna get some of that money back?
Maybe redecorating is not the word, it's more refurbishing.
Okay.
So actually there are so many things you have to do when you open a restaurant to comply with health, safety regulation. So we would love to do a restaurant which is very lean and only invest $80,000 in it. However, that's impossible in America from a health safety regulation, because you need 3 sinks, because you need 2 fridges, because you need so many things in order to comply with that regulation. So we have talked to experts in the restaurant refurbishing business, and the lowest you can get for a 800 to 900 square feet restaurant, that's what we're aiming at. If you want to comply with the American health safety regulation and have a decent refurbishing of the area, it should be maybe a bit lower than 200,000. However, since it's the first one, there are many processes which will not be streamlined yet, and we'll have to learn a little bit by doing. So that's about the investment needed, and it's not because we want that investment to be $200,000. It's because it's imposed by health safety regulation here in the States.
Okay, so this is not, you're not just spending my money freewheeling. This is as cheap as it's going to get for the business. Okay. Now, what's more important than the idea is the team. Can the team pull it off? Why are you the right team to follow?
I think that the first thing is that we're both passionate about Spanish culture and about Iberico ham in particular, and we just want to share that with Americans. So we want to actually bring that experience to the US. So passion, I think, is the most important thing that we have. We have persistence. We have done so many tests. We have tested the product with over 400 Americans already. And we think that not only the idea is important, but even more is being persistent and being able to execute. So both Jaime and me were focused in execution as well as in strategy and ideating. So I think that we complement each other. Jaime is a great executor. He just has a passion for Spanish countryside animals, whereas I have experience founding another venture in Spain, and I give that. I think I add that to the team, like being more of maybe the person that challenges Jaime whenever he comes with a happy idea. And I'm very skeptical because in my previous startup, I made so many mistakes that I want to avoid now. So I think that we balance each other, and but I would say that passion is what makes us the perfect team to execute this idea.
Adding to that, and I agree 100% with you, Gonzalo, not only are we complementary in the way we work, I'm very, very, very driven, and I come every day with 10 different happy ideas, and Gonzalo is more critic, and he adds this layer of rigor to the whole idea. We're also very complementary in terms of background. I am an engineer by training. I am more focused on operations. Gonzalo is both a lawyer and a manager and an economist, so we have all these two parts of the business, the operations and also the management. We are very complementary in that one. And the only thing that we are missing is actually running a real restaurant, because us being management consultants back in Spain and with the training we had, it was very difficult for us to actually have opened a restaurant before that. So we are going to kill that the lack of experience we have in running a restaurant during the summer, because we will eventually be there from 11 to till midnight every day, carving the ham, serving clients, taking the orders, etc., to kind of overcome this burden that we have now, which is the only place in which we don't have experience.
Beautiful. Every single business, doesn't matter what it is, has an Achilles heel. No business is perfect. What keeps you up at night, and what is your Achilles heel? Gonzalo.
So I would say, maybe you have a different idea, Jaime, but I would say that the quality and consistency of the product is our biggest concern. So in order for this restaurant to be successful, we need to be able to standardize quality, standardize processes. So we believe that we can actually manage processes and build an operation that is easily replicable, because as we always have to think that the idea or the vision here is to open a chain of restaurants, not only one. So we need the processes and the operations to be replicable. But the other thing that we kind of skips our control right now is the product. So we need to be able to have a consistent supply and a consistent quality of the product. So for that, we have already entered into agreements with two of the Spanish producers that bring ham into the US, and to have like a big agreement whereby they commit to test every single ham they're going to send to us, to make sure every ham is at the same humidity point, same quality, same taste, everything standard, so that we can, once we open that ham in a shop, we know that how it's going to taste, how customers are going to like it. So that we are already tackling that problem, but it keeps us awake at night.
Jaime, what's keeping you up at night?
I cannot agree more with you. Me being the one who is more into the operations, I spend lots of time thinking about how we standardize the process and be able to communicate our brand with one flavor that is unique across all our stores. That is our Achilles point.
Thank you. Next question. When you get that check from that investor, you're also going to get a boss who's going to call you up, say, how much did you sell today? How much money did I make today? When do I get my dividend check? And they're going to start telling you how to run your own business. So my question is, are you coachable? When you get that check, how coachable are you going to be, Gonzalo?
So I think that we are 100% coachable. We are not only interested in the check, but I would say that even more, we're interested in that coach, that mentor that we need. So we want somebody that is willing to spend time coaching us, teaching us, and telling what we're doing wrong, how he thinks we should do something. So not only somebody that is expecting just the returns, also that, but even more somebody that is willing to spend time with us and coach us.
I think the nature of Acorn shows that we are 100% coachable. So from the very beginning, we have been listening, in this case, to customers. And if I tell my mother that I'm selling ham in America mixed with truffle, I may not be able to go back home. And actually, I'm doing that because customers told me that's how I like it, and seems like coachable. And I believe that 4 eyes see more than 2, and 6 eyes see way more than 2. I'm always open to new ideas, and I think coaching and coachable is a concept that is embedded within Acorn roots, and we are more than open to other eyes and to other ideas because we are not wizards and we don't have the ultimate truth.
Every single person, myself included, and all of our viewers, has weaknesses and challenges. What would you say your greatest weakness or challenges in having this thing work for you?
So I would say that once we want to scale it up, we would need some franchising expertise, some real estate expertise that currently we lack. So I would say that my biggest challenge is just get up to speed or try to learn as much as I can during this year in my MBA and next year in all those subjects that currently we're not so advanced in. As I said, real estate is key here, and franchising for a future is also key.
Jaime.
I think a big weakness is how fast we will be able to grow. So we are in America. America is a very consolidated market, very saturated, and the likelihood of finding a real estate that has high foot traffic at an affordable price is very difficult. And there are only so many places that open up in Newbury Street every year, right? And there is no way you can increase that number. So I think something unique to America is how difficult it is to escalate and open up businesses in high traffic areas as the ones we are targeting.
Last question before we go. What's your long-term big vision? If it all works?
Mm-hmm.
It all worked perfectly.
Yeah.
Paint that picture for me.
So I would say that the long-term vision for us is that you or any other American understands Spanish culture, Spanish cuisine through Acorn, and that we are able to replicate that Spanish ambience here in the US in a way that you feel like you're in Barcelona or in Madrid. So our ultimate vision is to bring Spain to America in a way that maybe other cultures have been able to do so.
Jaime, big picture.
And the way to do it is through the first chain of fast casual restaurants featuring jamón ibérico and featuring Spanish culture in America. And I envision Acorn having 400, 500 stores 15, 20 years down the road and being a reference for other countries that eventually want to bring their food here to the States in an innovative way.
Beautiful. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being on the show. And I'd like to ask, could I have you back on the show in 6 months, maybe 12 months, and just check in and see how you're doing?
Would love to.
We'd love to be here.
Guys, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And everyone out there in TV land, thanks for tuning in to Startup TV Boston, and we will see you next time. Take care.